Let me read to you a passage from the second chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 13 to 18. It's the Gospel for the Feast of the Holy Innocents on December the 28th. St. Matthew writes, "When the wise men had gone, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. 'Get up,' he said, 'take the child and his mother and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him.' So he got up, took the child and his mother during the night, and left for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. And so was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, 'Out of Egypt I called my son.' When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learnt from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. 'A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping in great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and refusing to be comforted, because they are no more.'" That's from Matthew chapter 2, verses 13 to 18, for the Feast of the Holy Innocents on December the 28th. It alludes to suffering with Christ and for Christ. What do I mean? Well, let me begin this way. On September the 19th, 2010, Pope Benedict XVI beatified Cardinal John Henry Newman. Newman was a man who wrote a great deal, and a large component of his literary output is his posthumously published correspondence. His letters and diaries run to more than 30 volumes, making him one of the most significant authors of published letters in the English language. This is quite apart from his many volumes that include treatises, sermons, novels, poetry, essays, history, and autobiography. Of course, very many of his letters are not extant, but the collection as it stands gives an unparalleled presentation of Newman's life and mind. His letters range over all kinds of issues: business, theology, philosophy, spiritual life, recreation, complaint. They manifest the broad spectrum of life's concerns. Were we not to have had, in his beatification, the formal decision of the Church on his sanctity, that he was a man of heroic virtue, high love for Christ, and worthy of the honours of the altar, a reader of his letters and diaries might miss the fact of his uncommon holiness of life. This is because those letters and diaries are replete with the details of the ordinary life. Newman was a very human saint, a man who endured all kinds of misunderstandings and frustrations, a man who, for all his genius, had his limitations. He certainly did not regard himself as a saint. His voluminous letters depict a life of joys and sorrows with which the ordinary reader can identify, and it was within this ordinary life that Newman, a man of religious genius, pursued his path towards God. Though Newman was no ordinary person, his path was filled with the ordinary problems, many of which were massive in their weight. Newman's beatification did not take him out of the realm of the ordinary, rather it brought sanctity into the realm of the ordinary. Man attains goodness in and through his ordinary round. He need not go beyond it to find the wherewithal for the attainment of holiness. Today is the Feast of the Holy Innocents, and I have a point in beginning with the consideration of Newman's life under the aspect that I've just been speaking of. Our Gospel scene today, Matthew chapter 2 verses 13 to 18, is of a few people who were sunk in the obscurity of a very ordinary life in terms of the stage of their own country. there was a humble artisan, Joseph, and his wife Mary. She was with child. They had come to Bethlehem for the census, a tiny unnoticed family lost amid many others. They were seemingly so ordinary. They had remained in Bethlehem, it seems, for some little time, after they had registered for the census, enough for the visitors from the east to track them down there. There were other ordinary families in the village and the vicinity, including many infants under 2 years of age. Suddenly, evil arose and struck, and doubtlessly Satan was busy working on the fears of Herod the Great. Herod's henchmen were dispatched once it was realized that the wise men had slipped away. Quietly they arrived, quietly they left, and a great wailing in home after home began. But the churches canonized the infants who lost their brief lives. They had died because of hatred for Christ. Though their lives were so ordinary, so hidden, so lost in obscurity, they had served the supreme purpose of suffering for Christ. As a result, they will be celebrated till the end of the world. It illustrates the difference that Christ makes to the ordinary life, whether that ordinary life is the life of a genius or of a mere plodder. Whoever we are, whatever be our life's course, with all its joys and sorrows, satisfactions and disappointments, Christ is the one who gives to our ordinary path its grandeur. The holy innocents are celebrated because they suffered for Christ. Had they not thus suffered, who would ever have heard of them? We do not know their names, but they will never be forgotten because they suffered for Christ. They suffered for him without knowing the connection with Christ, and now they are with him in heaven. If we take our stand with Christ, much that we undergo may, without our knowing the connection, result directly from this stand for Christ. The essential thing is that we make our choice for him and strive to align our whole life with his. After Christ, the two holiest persons were what we might call ordinary people. That is to say, their lives were very ordinary as it appeared to others. I refer to the mother of Jesus Christ and to his foster father, both of whom feature in our gospel today. The slain innocents were also ordinary infants. All the difference is made when Christ enters our ordinary life and when we give our ordinary lives to him. Let us resolve to do that then, so that everything we do bears witness to him who is the Lord of all, King of kings.